gentlemen, I know it's been a while since we've actually been live, but due to schedules and things like that, we have been busy. But we are back this evening, of course, on Facebook, YouTube, whichever. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's been a while since we've actually been live, but due to schedules and things like that, we have been busy.
Good evening, Sam. I believe that we have a little bit of a feedback down
on
there.
Facebook, YouTube, whichever. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's been a while since we've actually been live, but due to schedules and things like that.
There we go. Just having a few little technical issues.
Is it gone now? Is it gone now?
No, it's still playing in the background.
Right,
Sam.
give me a minute then, because my Bluetooth's on, so it's double backing on the.
Yeah. No, it's just one of those things. We thought we'd try it, but it was just a little
it's
bit.
It's because my Bluetooth's on, so obviously it's directly connected to the road.
Yeah.
And it's.
No, never mind. It's fine. It's fine. It's we're getting used to this new format, and obviously being on doing Facebook Lives instead of all the other bits and bobs on speaker. I think we're enjoying it. We're just getting used to the software. Still, because it's all different every time we go into it.
Yeah, they keep updating it.
It's good to be back.
So.
Do apologise about last week. I was sadly ill. I had a series of stomach issues, which ended up me being hospitalised with gallstones, and I have been dealing with those issues for the last week. But touch wood, those issues have now sort of subsided, and I can actually go to the little boys' room without crying my eyes out, which is good. So I do apologise about last week. We will be getting Michael back on the show once we can get our schedule sorted. But I do apologise. It was just a medical emergency that ended up being in hospital for a few hours with gallstones. But fingers crossed, touch wood, and all that is now over.
So, do we get Mark on?
Yeah. So tonight we are joined by a gentleman. He's a gentleman that I know very, very well. We've worked together on as co-hosts on the Dark Mirror show when it was at a previous network. Mark has now gone alone, and that's Mr. Mark Manley. He's now gone alone with his daughter Taylor. And they're doing an extremely amazing job over on their show on a Friday night, 9 o'clock UK time GMT. So, yes, shall we bring Mr. Mark Manley on the show, Sam?
How are you?
Now, Mr. Mark Manley, how are you? Have we got gremlins yet again?
Am I there?
You are there.
Ah, there I am.
How you doing, Mark?
Took a little while. Yes, I'm here. I'm very well, thank you very much. And thank you. Thank Flattery. I'm fine, thank you. I was actually looking at your baseball cap going, ooh, I've got to get one of them. Remember, I used to wear the different caps because of the glare going.
Yeah, matches the hoodie. Just doing my LSU, Louisiana State University. Go Tigers at the moment, so it's going to be a thing that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be promoting the amazing university teams out in America. So you will see various different hoodies and hats over the next few months. Just sort of something for me to do, just something for me to give a little bit of support instead of doing the whole major sporting teams. Go to the university, go to where the ground roots, and go Tigers. But yes, it's good to have you on the show. I was just saying before you came on, we obviously worked together on the past generation of the Dark Mirror show.
That's right.
But there is more to Mr. Mark Manley, the alien guy, than the Dark Mirror show.
God, I was listening to you. Carry on. Yeah, no.
Just stroking the ego, Mark. So, for everybody that's actually watching, and thank you very much for joining us on the show, we do have a chat room. So if you want to have any questions or you want to just get involved, do click on the link that is now being shared around the different social media sites. Get involved. It's live, it's interactive, and you can actually ask Mark, the alien guy, Dark Mirror host, co-host with his daughter Taylor, anything you like, or if you have a question for myself. Sam's just nipping off because she's busy doing the studio side. I'm doing what I do well, and that's just waffling for a living. So, Mark, tell us a little bit about yourself for the viewers. Anybody that's been living under a dark rock somewhere and has not heard of the alien guy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Mark, and we used to be co-hosts on one of the pre-runners of the Dark Mirror radio show, because it used to be you, myself, and Kerry Greenaway. Mm-hmm. And basically, I got turned into the alien guy because one of my things I would do is, regardless of whatever topic the topic was for that particular show, I would always find a link to aliens, and as soon as I got the link, you know yourself, we would see Kerry go, oh, like that, and I'd go, aliens! And that was it. I got known as the alien guy. And believe it or not, I've had quite a few people stop me and say, go on, say it, mate, go on, say aliens. And I have to do it. So, it
was always the thing I've always found very, very interesting about, and I used to love about doing the old Dark Mirror show when it was us with Kerry, was Kerry always used to set the agenda. And she knew at some point one of several different scenarios would happen.
Yes.
One, as you've just said, you would find any possible link to aliens on any subject.
Yeah.
I would then go off and have a moment breakdown of a bit of a rant about things.
Yes.
And we would always have a great show, a great laugh, but we would always then bring it back on topic and end it the way we started, on topic. And I think that's why, because we always, Kerry's like the ringmaster with the chair trying to control me and you. Yeah. So that was it was always good. It was always good. I just want to say quickly, if you are going to comment on the show, please do like the page and like everything else. Because of obviously the funny things of StreamYard, you do need to interact, and then you will appear on the screen instead of just saying Facebook user. So please do that. I know we've just got Spooky Sisters just saying hello, hi. We've got Jonathan in the chat room as well from Las Vegas, our good friend over there. So, and there's loads more on there as well. So do get involved. Do use the chat room because it's very interactive and it makes this process of, it's not an interview. It's two friends chatting. So. Mark,
one thing I did have done, because I'm the alien guy, was I had my alien head done.
Ah, cool. You actually got it done and finished.
Yeah. Taylor did it.
Oh, yeah, well, Taylor is obviously a very good tattooist.
She's also a very heavily pregnant tattooist now as well. So.
Yes. When is the bundle of joy due?
Christmas Eve.
Oh.
And he's a little boy who's going to be called.
It can't be called Jesus.
Finley.
Oh, Finley.
I
thought you were going to say Jesus then.
No, in this household, are you mad? You won't find too much free Wi-Fi in this household, so you know.
Yeah, well, that's cool. That's cool. We'll send Taylor our best from PSH, and so. How did you? Because I've always wanted to know this. Because I've investigated with you. Obviously, we've done the radio, and I've always fascinated how you actually got involved in the paranormal. Because we've never really discussed it. We never really discussed how your passions for the paranormal. Because you are an investigator as well. You are a researcher as well. You have run your own teams, etc. So how did that become before? We will then go on to the radio and what else is going on in your life.
It originally started, basically, I was at junior school. And I don't know if you remember, you remember the school book club that you could get? And they had all the books that your mum and dad go, yeah, go on then. I'll go, oh, no, not another bloody one. Oh, yeah. Well, there used to be the Corgi books. And and they had them at the school library, and it was like the Corgi book on vampires, Corgi book on supernatural, and this, that, and the other. And I got my mum to get them, and I was just absolutely enthralled with them. And I can always remember the first story I ever read that got me into it was the wolves in Paris. I think it was 17th century. There was a particular pack of wolves that were very nasty and predatory, and they started chasing and killing humans outside of Paris. And it was from that, and then the legends of La Loupe and the werewolves and everything, and I just got stuck right into it. It's fascinating with it all. Anything that you can't explain, or people try to explain but fall flat on their faces of, and then it's like, ooh. And for every single legend and every single famous story, there had to be that little spark that started it, and it's that little spark that gets my little sparks going.
Yeah, because I think that's always a good thing, because people always have their different routes into this industry. It's whether it's an experience when young, or a fascination, or something like a book, like you said, a film, a TV show. There's various, but there's always that little spark. So it's always nice when you get to talk to people and find out what that initial spark was.
It's anything that leaves me with more questions than answers, and that's that. Oh, you got me hooked, you know.
So from obviously reading the Corgi books and being intrigued by things that are unexplained and the weirdness of that sort of subject of different mysteries, myths, legends, etc. So you've obviously then progressed, and then obviously, how did you get into like actual paranormal, being a paranormal investigator?
Cool. That was a few years ago when I was living in London. Myself and my other half, we both like Lindsay. She likes the paranormal as well, and I said, shall we go and have a look at one of these investigations? And we were going to do one of the paid ones, and then I thought, no, let's try and find a decent team. And we went along and had a look at a few teams, and we were like, yeah, possibly. And then we found it was Kerry's team, or the team that Kerry was in, and we found that one, and we just instantly clicked with everybody there. And that was it. And we went on our first investigation, didn't we? And just ever since then, I've absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. And then, unfortunately, as you know, my son passed away. Yeah. So we left it for a while because I didn't want to be anywhere with somebody could turn around and say, "Oh, Mark, you know, this person's come through," because I wouldn't have been able to handle that. But come back into it now. Done a couple of investigations since then, and love it. I'm still just as up for it as I have. We have had a couple of family members come through, and it's actually been really good. It's not been bad or emotional or anything. It's just been I'm okay. I'm all right. Don't worry about me. So I'm back in it, and I can talk the hind leg off a donkey anyway. So
that you can.
Hence being a team manager and on the radio.
I think that's a good thing about people that do radio, because when I'm in a working relationship, as I call it, the day job, yeah. I would just get on with it, and I don't like pushing myself and like standing up in front of people talking. But now, all these years later, people that know me from 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when I was working at the BBC, saying, "You do what? You go where?" Yeah. And you're standing up in front of people. And I said, "Yeah, if I've got a passion for something, and I'm comfortable, and I know that I'm not going to be judged, I'm not going to be ridiculed, because the ghost industry or the paranormal,
people look at you
like, you go back 10 years, and you wouldn't put it on your CV, you wouldn't openly admit in the workplace, but now because of paranormal pop culture, it's sort of become the day-to-day. And as we used to discuss on the Dark Mirror show, and we've had these discussions offline as well, it's becoming more of the norm.
Yeah. Well, it's like I can remember us talking about this on one of the last shows we all did together. We all agreed, although everybody slams a certain famous TV show, if it hadn't been for that most haunted show, we wouldn't be mainstream now. We'd still be looked upon as, "You're be a nutter over there, get the holy water in the nun,"
Yeah, exactly. We would be, and for all the bad press Most Haunted gets, I would say the early few seasons before network pressure, because we all know what that's like. Before network pressure and views and this whole thing about clickbait and videos that people post, the most demonic and hashtag it's a demon. It was a good show.
The first few series were good.
Because we'd never seen anything like that in the UK. I think the nearest thing we had was the Michael Aston thing, which was actually a Mickey take of a haunted house based around loosely like Enfield Haunting and all those sort of things, of a family and all this sort of stuff, some of the famous cases. And everybody thought it was real. But that was the sort of the first exposure we had. Then there was a couple of things online and stuff like that. But then obviously Most Haunted broke on the scene. And I know people nowadays ridicule it, and they have every right to ridicule it because it has gone a little bit overboard. But we're not going to get into that. But the early days, it was something new, especially when we did the live. They did the lives.
Yeah.
I can remember sitting there with a laptop, watching a TV, watching these cameras that never moved, that had no sound, that froze every 5 seconds. Yeah.
And we all did it, and we were like staring at nothing, and a piece of dust goes past the screen. You're like, orb! No, it's dust.
Yeah, but it got your passion going, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna slate Most Haunted off because one, it's too open in this field to just take the mickey out of people. You just gotta ride the middle ground, bite your lip. There's a lot of biting lips in this industry because you have to do that, or you'll end up being pigeonholed as something else. But Most Haunted, and then obviously paranormal pop culture, and you've got then Ghost Hunters hit which was the first big show.
That's right.
And the original team of that, Grant and all the guys. And then all of a sudden the new show that came out was obviously Ghost Adventures.
Yeah, Mr. Baggins
and Nick Groff and Aaron Goodwin's. And it sort of took it. It was like how do I describe it? It was like watching Swap Shop in our day and Top of the Pops. One was clean cut.
Yeah.
Then there's obviously this new kid on the block. Which was a little bit edgy. Yeah. And you then started, the programs sort of started coming out, and I'm not going to list all the programs that came out, but that's how it all started, and it's now become the norm. And I love it. I love, for the first time it's been on my CV for probably 6 years now, because you can hide it. You can say you're not in a paranormal, but work, and you spend more time at work than you do at home. You spend more time at work than your loved ones. It's sort of, you become friends, and friendships get formed, etc. So they want to know what you're doing at weekends. So you then go, guess what? And I presume it was the same for you when you were going out. Obviously, where was your first location?
Oh, what was the name of it? It was a I know it was a Red Lion pub, I think, and it was somewhere in Essex. And I just remember
Colchester in the high street.
I can't remember. I just remember one of the guys that was on the team being picked up and thrown that night. And this was you got to remember, this is our first investigation. And you know what I'm like? I'm straight away going, Did he just jump backwards, or did that actually happen? Because I'm not going to go, oh my God. I was like, oh, and it was that the skeptic in me came out. I was like, and it got me hooked, and that's why I got hooked on the tech side of things, and the research. And then I started really heavily going into the research, and even into the bedrock, to see if it was like crystalline bedrock, like limestone or sandstone or anything, because the energies that can be stored and things. But it was that very first one got me going. You know, it was lots of oohs and ifs and you know, I mean, the guy cut his back open, so you know.
Yeah. That's exactly the thing. It's, you have those moments. I had that. I had the same moment on my first ever investigation. I was stood in a basically my local pub, my local, and it was the only reason we went. We thought, well, this is probably one of our only chances to be in the pub until 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning at that particular moment in time. So we went along, and it's just like, and then we then went out into the outbuildings of my local, and there was stuff happening. I'm looking around, trying to see, right, who's the stooge, who's putting it on, and then it start, and then all of a sudden things happen, and you're like second guessing it, and you're starting looking at it, and you're thinking, hang on, there's more to this. So you go on another one. And then it snowballs, and then you get wrapped up in then obviously, as you and I have done, we both obviously have then done running teams and running events, etc. And I've been on one of the events that you run up at Saltmarsh.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, hopefully be able to get that back again one day. But they're not
very interesting location. Very interesting location.
Yeah.
That.
You can still stay there.
And they had, So how did that side of it sort of progress? Because obviously you've been on there, you've been a couple of times, you and your lovely other half, Lindsay. How did you then sort of think, oh, this is something I want to really get my teeth into?
I think it was because I'm a nosy bugger anyway, and I like to if I'm really hooked on something, I'd like to get right into the nitty gritty of it. And I was early on, I was asked if I would be researcher for the team, so I did, and it was I myself, I started finding out all these little bits that could be this and it could be that and it could have come from that and it could have, you know, yourself when you do the research and you start finding out all these things you never knew, and it was that. And then because I don't mind getting up in front of loads of people and talking to, I mean, I've talked to a room with over 1,200 people in it before, not really, but a sports thing. I think that's why I was chosen to, you know, start leading teams about and stuff, you know, not teams on public investigations and things, because I've got the you know, gift of the gab. And the only reason I've got the gift of the gab is because I was never, I wouldn't talk to big groups of people. But you know yourself, I used to teach martial arts. I used to go to seminars, and because I've got one hand and one leg, you know, you've got this disabled founder of a martial art up there, and they're like, right, do this, do that, explain to everybody what you're doing. My first ever seminar, I had to demonstrate a move, and unfortunately hit the guy in the balls full pelt, and he was on the floor, growing green and rolling about. You've got 800 people laughing their head off, and I am killing myself laughing, trying to make sure if he's all right, and explain to all these people. That was my first ever one. But after that, I just thought, you know what, stuff it. People like me for who I am, and that was it. I just went from there to there, and then the radio show started. I asked if I wanted to do that, and as you know, it came to the point where you had to go to a different radio station, and I didn't want to bury the show. I loved the Dark Mirror show so much. You know yourself. I said, that's it. I'm going to start and do it on my own, and I do it with Taylor. I've now got Wayne Seddon on it as well. He used to do with Most Haunted as well. And it seems to be gradually going back to how it was, you know, with the laughter and the jokes, but loads of facts going off topic and then coming back in and then going back onto topic. It seems to be going back to its old format, which I'm really pleased with.
I think when it comes to radio, sadly, obviously in the current situation that the world is going through, when people are spending more time at home and in difficult situations, people look for a outlet. And obviously, as you probably noticed, there's a lot of people suddenly that were in the paranormal thinking, okay, we're going to give this podcast radio a go. And some have fallen by the wayside, some have gone from strength to strength. But as you know, we were PSHRadio was an entity beforehand. We joined the previous network. We loved every minute of it. I was obviously doing the show that I do now with Sam, because we've been doing that a few years. And then obviously you guys asked me to join the Friday night fun, as we used to call it, the Dark Mirror show. And it was great because it was all clicked. We all had different ways of looking at things.
Yeah.
And
that helps. That definitely helps.
And I think that does help. And we all got on, we all clicked, and I think that's a good thing. Working relationship on the radio is very, very good, because you've got to be able to bounce off each other, etc. And I think that's what.
Only if you ask me nicely.
Sorry?
Only if you ask me nicely.
Well, I'll remind you one day. But yeah, it's just one of those things, and you go through that, and you're talking about your passion, and like I always say, I never thought I'd do a radio show. I never thought I'd talk to whoever, and I never thought I'd do this, that, and the other. And you're exactly the same. You've done some great since you've left the previous network. You had that passion. You wanted to carry on. You were given the blessing. You could go ahead with the name of the Dark Mirror Show, because I think that is a good thing. You didn't decide to start your own. You basically wanted to go, I'm going to still run. And you and Taylor, you bounce off each other really, really well. Obviously, being father and daughter, and now with Wayne coming in. It's a good combination, because you've got that different combinations thrown into the mix, and the subjects you've been covering and all this sort of stuff. And occasionally I'd pop on there to do an old school, and I know Kerry's going to be doing it at some point, and hopefully at some point we can get all three of us back on.
You're welcome on the show anytime, mate. You are.
Yeah, no, it's obviously schedules and stuff, because this industry gets a bit crazy, and now we're in silly season.
We've actually got a very interesting show coming up this Friday.
Well, do tell us. Do promote. We're not a network. We don't care.
I'm putting two stories.
Whatever you want.
I'm putting two stories together. One of them is in northwest China. You've got that particular place where it's full of blue-eyed, blonde-haired, or red-haired and green-eyed Chinese guys. And some of them have got very Caucasian features, and that they are supposedly descended from a lost Roman legion. And there's been more and more evidence pointing towards it. Also, in the same area, you've got the Dayak discs that were found. Those round discs, they look a bit like records, and they've got tiny hieroglyphics etched into them in concentric circles. One of them was translated, and it was translated as basically the gods came down from the sky and crashed their ships, and then ended up living amongst the people. And some of the skeletons that were dug up in the caves where the discs were found had elongated skulls, be it aliens or be it having their heads bound. We don't know, and it's because they're in the same region. I thought, right, put the two together, and I found out quite a lot of stuff about it. It should be good.
Cool. Sounds interesting. I'll definitely be tuning into that. You mentioned it, aliens, obviously. I want to get into a little bit more in depth with you on the alien front, because you obviously, as you know, I have that sort of passion as well, and I look at it, and I've been lucky enough to venture out to certain places in the world which have been amazing.
We get on, because we don't look out at that inky sky and go, no, there's nothing out there. We go out there and say, come on, you buggers, come and show us,
Yeah, and I think the worst thing about it is, it would be a very, very sad world if we thought we were the only intelligent life in the whole universe, with all the planets that can sustain life, in all the different millions of millions and millions and millions and millions of different planets, universes, whatever. We are the only intelligent life. That is a sad. I'm sorry, and I love being a human. I love being alive, but I would really hate to think we are the cream of the crop, because we don't help ourselves.
No, you really don't. I mean, when you look at some of the political figures out there these days, it's really scary to think that we're the cream of the crop. It's not happening.
we're not going to get into politics.
No.
We'll get taken off there. We'll get taken off there. So, aliens, planets, people from the other dimensions, all these different theories, reptiles, men in black, all the different conspiracy theories around aliens, etc., etc. If you could pinpoint one of those genres, what would be your most? And I've asked this to a couple of other people that are into the same sort of conspiracy, aliens, blah blah blah. What is the most weirdest, whacked out conspiracy theory that you've heard from somebody?
I think you know the one I'm going to come out with probably. The weirdest one, even, and it made even me go, was because my forte is cryptozoology and ufology. And the weirdest one I ever heard was somebody turning around and saying that our planet is actually a prison planet, and that all Yetis and Sasquatches and Bigfeet anybody sees are actually prisoners from another planet who were put on this prison planet. And that even made me go, thank you. What have you been smoking? So, and I'm being very polite if you notice, because I haven't had to use the bleep button once. But
I was the first one. I was the first one to swear, but we don't mind because we're allowed to. But yeah, I must admit, and we've discussed this, and some of the theories, and I remember the whole with the prison planet one, and there is a subject that we both kind of rant about, and that's the lovely flat Earth theory.
Oh, don't get me flat Earth. I've said it before.
It wouldn't be a conversation between me and you without talking about flat Earth. So I've got to talk about it.
Well, all of you out there who seem
your views on
this, I'll give you my view. If all of you out there who seem to think that the world is flat, you're mad. Cats would have knocked every single thing off the edge of the world by now. There you go. Boom. Drop the mic. Walk out. There you go. If you think the world is flat, you're mad.
No, I know. It's one of the. That's probably. I think that, and there was the other one that we did a show on I think when we were going down the whole conspiracy theory line, and we covered probably every possible conspiracy theory that there probably has been, and also we've probably created a few conspiracy theories in our time, like the Rastafarian aliens watching the moon landing.
Aliens that were smoking reefers, sitting up on some bleachers on the moon, watching us trying to land. Like, yeah, man, there they go. Look at them, that little shit.
Yeah, where that came from, I don't know, but we did it. But this is the thing about what we do, and this is the reason I love chatting to you, Mark. Is you can have these theories, you can have your thoughts, your ideas, and unless you're a complete and utter crackpot, which there are a lot under the banner. And the thing is, some people will say, even if you actually had a ghost captured in a bottle, you handed it to somebody and they wouldn't believe it was a ghost.
Yeah.
It's the same thing if flat earthists, if you've got them on a plane and onto a shuttle and you took them to the moon, they saw the world turning, they still wouldn't believe it because that's their belief and that's what it is. Yes, we joke about it. Yes, we go, you're crazy. But yeah, people say to me some of my theories and what I believe on is crazy. It's like my dad God rest his soul and all that, thought I was crazy doing ghost hunting and investigating and going out into these creepy buildings at night. And he was like, go down a pub, have a drink, socialise. And I was like, I've done that. I've got to a point where this is my passion. And he just like, but he was always the first one when I used to see him the next day when I was living at home, and I'd like get up the next morning after an investigation, and he goes, so, come on, son, what happened? And you'd tell him, and he'd listen, and he wouldn't judge. He'd just crack a few jokes, which I think where I get it from. And then that would be it. And you're exactly the same.
My dad, he passed away as well. But little tiny Irishman, ex-SAS, ex-Irish Guards, and all that sort of stuff as well. And he'd just look at you and he'd go, Jesus, you're fucking mad. And that's it. That's it. And it's like, all right, Dad. And then he's like, would you like a jar? You'll have a jar. Go on in. We'll have a jar. That was the end of it.
Yeah, I think you have those, and you have your supporters and your close family, etc. Some of them will just think you're absolutely loopy. It's like my two nieces. One thinks I'm crazy. The other one, oh, come on, Uncle Cole, what happened? And now she's got to an age where she can actually watch certain shows that I've been on and done.
Yeah.
She's now to the age where she thinks I'm like, she thinks she's young enough to basically think I'm part of the royal family because I drive a Range Rover, a black Range Rover, because she automatically assumes anybody driving a Range Rover is part of the royal family because of the news. But
well,
also she thinks
that makes me American.
Exactly, yeah. If you're part of the Trump and the presidency. But it's lovely to actually see, and you're getting these people, the young, interested in the field. I'm not saying we're influencers and shakers and all that malarkey, because we're not. We just do this for a passion. We're not in it for fame, fortune, or whatever. Because if you're in this industry for fame and fortune,
if I was, I'd have a TV program.
Yeah, you might as well be a shoplifter, because you're going to have more fun. You're probably going to have to be in front of more people than you would be if you were on the TV, because sadly the only people in this industry that makes money are the big boys, Zach Bagans, and the producers, the TV companies. They're the ones that make the money. But yeah, it's always looking at it in an interesting way. Just going on to some of the investigations that you've done, what would be your one moment in time at an investigation where you had to then take a step back because you've experienced something and you've gone, before even thinking about it, you've gone, that is weird?
It used to be the Essex Life Museum because of some of the things that happened there, including a medium who didn't know me from Adam and just came straight up to me and started talking to me about my dad and things like that. And there was no possible way, even with cold reading, she could have known the stuff that she was coming out with. And that was one of the things that made me go, because I've always been quite skeptical about things like that. That was one of the things that made me go, like, because you know yourself, when you can tell the difference between a very good charlatan, a complete nutter, or the real deal, you know. And it's very I can only count on one hand anyway. But I can only count on one hand enough people that I would say they're the real deal, you know. But the last investigation I did, which was the Haunted Antiques place with Phoenix Paranormal, doing the Ouija board, and we had somebody come through who said that they were attached to something there, and was like, yeah, all right. And it was a pocket watch. And I'd seen some pocket watches earlier that night, and I found the pocket watches, brought them up, and I put them on front of the thing, said, right, put the planchette towards which one is yours, and it pointed to one, and put the other one away. And then when we found the person's name, he lifted up the watch, which I didn't know. He lifted up the watch, and there was his bloody initials on the back of the watch. And that, and I was like, you know, and then the stuff that they came out with and were going really into detail with, including Spring-Heeled Jack, which we'd done a show on a few weeks before, you know, because this was a guy from the Victorian times who used to be a doctor from a well-to-do family, but he used to help the ladies of negotiable virtue at night around the docks. He would help them in
the oldest profession in the world.
Yeah. You know, and he was actually a nice guy, and no nastiness, no, you know, sometimes you'll get them saying fear me and stuff like that, and it was none of that. It was just full of information, an absolute mine of information and stuff that just made me go, you know. And it's not often, well, you know what I'm like, it's not often things will make me shut up. So
that's the thing. Yeah,
I would say that.
I've not had the chances yet to investigate the antique centre, and I've heard mixed reviews. And you know, in this industry, you hear mixed reviews every venue, because that's what the industry is like. People will say, "Oh, it's rubbish, it's great, it's amazing, it's crap, it's da 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 da." What is your personal views on is it the residual of the objects? Is it connections? Is it the building? Is it a combination, or is it something else?
My own personal thing is, I think all the objects collectively create a bridge. If so to speak, yeah, a bridge. I think the building itself, no. It's an old building, but no. But I think all the objects there collectively help bridge that gap. There are some strong things there, but on their own or individually, they wouldn't be strong enough to really do a lot. But altogether, I definitely think that builds a bridge. Could you turn down, please?
Do you also think that because it gets investigated quite a lot, you're getting a lot of energy of people who are, I don't want to say true believers. I would say a lot of people that go in there with an open mind, their energy helps to do an also bridge between the objects in the different areas.
But you also get the nights and places that you'll go, like you were just saying, where it's supposed to be really good, this, that, and the other, and you'll do an investigation. And that's the one thing that gets me about TV shows is everything happens every single time they do an investigation. Ladies and gentlemen, no, you will get soaked. You'll get so cold. The only thing you'll catch on as evidence is a cold. But there'll be days where you get told, oh, it's really good. It's this, and this. And they've had like 3 or 4 teams a day in for a month. And then by the time you get there, it's been rinsed. All the energy has been soaked up, and you have to leave a location. I think you have to leave a location for a couple of weeks, let it settle down, let things settle down to 11, let the energies build back up again. Because if you keep going in, you're just going to rinse it, and it's ruins it for lots of people.
Yeah, I agree. If you've got a location that is literally getting hammered day in, evening out, 24/7, and you've got people that are, because if they were public events or whatever, and these guys don't technically know what they're doing, and they're taking tips from the teams that are running it, but they don't really. They know they've seen on TV or whatever. They've been on a few investigations, and they're bringing that type of energy, that questioning, and they're potentially not bringing the correct vibe in. And you do that literally. These spirits, I suppose I describe it as a spirit conveyor belt. You've got spirits sitting there like on the generation game, going, seen him, cuddly toy, seen him, Bruce Forsyth, and they just literally everything's just whizzing past. And at the end of the day, you can't party 24/7 for 500 and God knows how many days of the year, because you burn out. And I think it's like we say, it's energy, and there's got to be some give. You've got to let either the spirits, the building, the location, yourself recharge.
I believe there's, apart from locations that you can go to, I do believe that there are various doorways and power places that are in existence. I mean, we've spoken about it before, like the Tuatha De Danann, like the ancestors for the Irish, they knew all about doorways and stuff. Native Americans, they know all about doorways and things. We've spoken to them at great lengths. I believe there are places like that as well. But again, the same thing is, the ones that are known, the power gets rinsed, and it gradually makes it flat until it do nothing, and then you just got to leave it to build it all back up again.
Absolutely, and I agree. I think locations that get rinsed 24/7 can potentially have a series of flat nights, and because of that, because the spirits are just going, give me a break. I want to put my feet up. I want to snuggle under a blanket. I want to watch crap TV. I want to eat junk food. I want to relax. I don't want to answer silly questions like, are you there? Not once for yes, twice for no, and silly things like that.
You can just imagine that, like they have their version of a mobile phone go off, and they're like, really? No, do me air.
No, yeah. But do you reckon they can't call that ghosting like we call that in the UK? Like when in the living, when you don't reply to somebody and you ghost them. Do you reckon they call it humaning?
They probably call it living.
Yeah, they're probably I'm going to live in that. Like yeah. See, these are the weird sidetracks that me and Mark get onto. We think about things and we both like interact with it. So,
One thing I would say, one thing that does annoy me about places is when you get people who bring their friend or family member along that has abilities, as in they can talk to the cat and understand it, but then when they bring them along and then they start to try and tell you that this is going on and then that's going on and my water tells me this and this, and no, it's this and it's this and it's this, you're like, okay, you know. And I do think that when you've got people like that, it can be quite dangerous, because if they do inadvertently do something, they can actually bring something in that shouldn't be there. Either that or the cat really can understand them.
Yeah, you've got that side of it, or you've got the guy that turns up in dressed all in black. He's got his he's got a black baseball cap, he's got a black hoodie on, black leggings, shoes, carrying several silver cases, and he sits there for the first 5 minutes putting batteries in, and then he doesn't have a clue how to use anything, and then he's wandering around demanding Satan or Zozo or whatever the latest demon that's been on the TV to produce himself, and that's another side of the industry, which if you like that, knock yourself out, but don't expect me to take part in that, because I'll just walk away. Because that's TV, and like you said a minute ago, if they put an actual investigation live, an investigation, all you'll see is people, majority of the time for long periods of time, sitting around in the dark talking to themselves, having a quick scratch because they thought that the camera's not on them, trying to break wind when they think nobody's around. And that's it, because that is a lot of it. It's a lot of patience. It's a lot of doing nothing. It's a lot of repeating repeating yourself.
A lot of joking about as well, as Kerry can probably tell.
You've got to be able to. Hi, Alex, and thanks for joining, and everybody else in the chat room. If you've got anybody that is listening, watching, just get involved. Put your questions in. There are various different watch parties and share groups that are going around, so it's pretty difficult. Like one's got 2, the other's got 4, and all this sort of stuff. Just tuned in to hear Carl say break wind. Exactly. You wouldn't expect anything else, Alex. That's the fun of the show.
This is very true.
But yeah, just get involved, put questions in, and everything like that. But yeah, Mark, it's one of those crazy industries that you get involved and you sort of then get hooked big time.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of hobbies that I've done that I've sort of taken a hobby, apart from playing golf, which I play golf, and obviously the paranormal, where my life is sort of involved and invoked and enwrapped in this industry. And you're exactly the same, because you have the passion. Knowing you off air, on air, in investigations, you have the same passion no matter what, all 24/7. You are like as I call you, the Energizer Bunny. You just bounce around. Hi, Victor. Hi, everybody that's joining in the chat room now. Nice to see you guys. Thanks for joining. We're just chatting to Mr. Mark Manley, the alien guy from the Dark Mirror Show. Friday night, 9 p.m. UK time GMT. Join in, watch him, follow him on social media. It's a good show. It is a very, very good show. But yeah, it's just you get sort of.
I've got 2 main passions. Apart from my family and my animals, I got 2 main passions: the unexplained or paranormal, and my motorbike.
Yeah.
Motorbike.
How is it? Because you won a prize recently for your motorbike.
Oh, it's there actually. Yeah, I won the best custom bike in show on my motorbike because I've got one hand and my right leg looks like R2D2. Yay! Oh yeah, that's me on a Passion Star Wars. And I spent about 4 months doing my bike and respraying it and rebuilding the bottom half of the engine, and the cockpit's all done from the hand and everything, and it goes like the absolute clappers and looks and sounds awesome. And I won best customized bike in the Ride to Rock Motorcycle Society's custom show a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, cool. Because everybody has passions away from the industry as well. So it's good to be grounded. It's good to do, as I describe them, normal things. I know that sounds very strange, but
every day there's always something. Whether you're watching like Paranormal Lockdown, or me and Linz will be talking about something with it, or Taylor and I'll be discussing what's going on, or I'll be doing research for the show. There's always something every day to do with the paranormal. Yeah,
you can't get away from it. Once you're in it, you're in it. It's a bit like the mafia. It's a bit like the dark arts of the mafia. It's once you're in, and you try and leave, and they drag you back in.
Oh, God, yeah. Every single time.
Every single. Hello, I don't know who that is, but obviously they're saying.
I don't know.
But yeah, please obviously remember the funny thing with StreamYard so we can see your comments. This hour's flying past, Mark, and we've got like 5 minutes left to go. So what? Obviously, you sort of mentioned what you've got coming up on the show about the subjects you were talking about. What other shows have you got planned? If you can talk about them, what else are you got? What else are you doing? You got any investigations coming up or anything like that?
I've got the Curiosities of the Five Corners. I think that's what the place is called.
With Phoenix and Paul.
Yeah, I'm doing an investigation there in November, and I'm actually really looking forward to that. I've got a show talking about the lost Krugerrangs of South America. You know, the Krugerrang gold. I'm doing a show all about.
I know that very well. I used to have a small friend whose father ended up inside because of it.
Oh dear. Well, I'm doing a show about how it came, why the gold was that, and why it's called Krugerrand, and this, and I'm doing it for my daughters other halves and their family because they're all from South Africa, and they were like, oh, when I mentioned it, so I'm going to be doing that. But what we're going to be doing is sort of like every fortnight chosen topic, and then the other fortnight just a general roundup of nonsense of the week like we used to do, and how we, when we chat and that, and then in week topic next week banter, So it seems to work.
Cool. So you're busy. You're busy, and you got any investigations apart from obviously the name that I can't pronounce because it just seems to be too wordy. The curiosity.
Curiosities of the Five Corners.
Yeah, that's not going to look good on a t-shirt. It's going to be like starting on one arm and ending down the other.
Yeah. To be honest, most of the places that I was going to do or want to do, because I'm trying to get places up here because I moved to Yorkshire now, as you know. They're not letting you do anything because of COVID, because of the lockdown, because of this, because of that. So, I'm still waiting to get something sorted out here. But it's like even the little village I live in, there's part of an old, the ruins of an old palace. You can't even get in there. No, can't have anybody here. COVID, So. It's just trying to find.
Sadly, I think that's what it's. I think the rest of this year is going to be like. I'm afraid, and I'm hoping that obviously.
One thing we've got to do is a certain Winnebago and Paranormal Highway in America.
Yes, we've talked about this for like 2 or 3, possibly even longer than that since I've known the paranormal RV across America. Coast to coast, and it will happen at some point. Whether it'll happen next year, I don't think so, because my next year at the moment looks absolutely mental with what's going on. But me and Mark have been discussing we'd like to hire one of those big Winnebagos and literally go coast to coast, zigzagging America, going to all the hot spots of either
Yeah.
ghosts,
I'd kill to do
paranormal,
that.
UFOs, cryptic sightings, and literally from one side to the other, and do that. It's going to happen at some point, Mark. I know it is going to happen, and we will document it. It'll be amazing, and yeah, doing the whole cryptics and not just doing ghosts. We're going to do the whole genre of the paranormal under every single possible umbrella that appears under the paranormal.
As seen from a very British and slightly batty point of view.
It would be a bit like the film Paul, to be truthfully honest with me and you.
yeah, it would. Yeah, it really would. Except with Carl and Mark.
Yeah, exactly. Well, as Alex knows how I think, it would be like Nick and Simon in Paul. It would be like two slightly weird English geeks hiring a Winnebago. Obviously, we would probably book a better Winnebago than them guys.
Possibly,
yeah. And doing the whole, like, I can see that we could get into some serious mischief and weirdness, and like turning up in an old hick town and we hear the banjos playing and all this sort of stuff. Exactly, but yeah, it's something that. It's something that we've discussed, and the thing is, you ask either of us at any particular moment in time, and we say, right, we've got a list of where we want to go, and then you ask them like a couple of days later, and that list has completely changed. Because you hear about things,
and it's just like anywhere in between, you know.
Yeah. We that's the thing. We've got a start position and an end position. Where happens in between is slightly not set in stone at the moment.
If it ever does happen, I'm telling you now, I will kill to do it. That'd just be the funniest show.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be amazing. It's going to be one of those things. It's because I can think of, even if you started like Los Angeles side and heading back to the Atlantic coast. You know, from LA, whatever, you've got all that, and then Nevada and places like that, but then again, if you start exactly, we have to, as I've been lucky enough and managed to get to Area 51 and the gates and all that sort of stuff. That would be hilariously a good post if you could actually. You can't get a signal out there because you can't get a signal. 30 minutes is when you leave Las Vegas. You might as well just throw your phone away because you don't get a signal.
Me standing beside the sign going, aliens.
Exactly. We can definitely get the photos, but yeah, it's one of those things that you just we talk about it every time we talk, and the different locations. We want to go there. We want to go there. We want to go to the Mothman. We want to go up into the Blue Ridge, not Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia. That's whatever. I'm just thinking Laurel and Hardy now. But yeah.
The Alpaca Mountains.
The Alpaca Mountains, or whatever. Yeah, but yeah, we've got all these ideas, and it will happen. And when it happens, we will document it, and it will probably turn into a very weird and wonderful series of blogs or whatever. Right, just before we go, because we are coming up to the time. Anybody that wants to follow you, listen to you, speak to you, how do they get in touch? Where can they find the Dark Mirror Show? What's your contact details on there? We'll post it all over the chat rooms anyway. But
go onto Facebook and type in the Dark Mirror Radio Show. Each word has a capital. That's all you got to do. We're also on YouTube. The episodes get posted up there. But me, with my brain, I forgot to post the last 2 episodes, so I've got to do that today. But we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, and I've got it linked to my phone as well. So if you've got any questions, or if you've got any things you would like seen as a theme for the show or topics brought up, ask me on the Facebook site, and I'll answer you.
Brilliant. And I do recommend you wander over on a Friday at 9 p.m. GMT UK time. Just have a listen, have a watch. You'll enjoy it, and it's a great combination, great subject.
It's like nothing you've seen before.
It isn't. It's not a typical.
No.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to insult any other podcasts and radio shows out there, because sometimes I kind of put my foot in it and I end up doing. So I'm not going to do that this time. But yeah, Mark, this hour's flown past. Total pleasure. We'll get you on again, and yeah, we need to set up the rematch of me carrying you on your side. And we'll go from there. Just before you leave, go on, give me it.
Aliens!
Mr. Mark Manley, thank you very much. Sam, are you there in the studio tapping buttons and working out what's going on? There she is. I thought you might have fallen asleep there.
Out of nowhere.
Like we say, thanks, Mark. Thanks for coming on. It's been a pleasure as always. Mr. Mark Manley and the Alien Guy, Dark Mirror Show, Friday night, 9 p.m. So, Sam, back over to you to end up the show. And people, always a pleasure. If you want to get involved, drop us a message. Let us know what you would like us to cover. If there's any subjects, people, or you've even just got a weird question that you want to talk, just drop us a message on the various different social media sites. Get involved. It's your show. I'm just here to waffle. Sam does all the work, and I'm going to pass her over to do the end. Thank you very much, guys. I'll see you very, very soon.
Thank you, everybody, for watching and commenting. I know a few people have been in the group and it doesn't show, so next time, make sure you accept StreamYard. And that is all. We have a show next week. We don't have a show next week. It's kind of one of these things at the minute with the whole COVID thing and that. We don't know when we're going to be on and not going to be on. So it's a good night from Mark.
It's a good night from me and a good night from him.
And it's a good night from them.
Good night, guys.